SSX on Tour was released on 4 different consoles. The main version of the game that you're probably more familiar with was on, of course, PS2, Xbox, and Nintendo GameCube. My SSX on Tour experience was on the PSP. I don't know why I never played the main version of On Tour, because we had a PS2, but I guess once I found the PSP edition of On Tour, I mostly stopped playing PS2 at that point. That's my only theory. Is it as good as I remember? I'd say pretty much. That is to say, it is very far from perfect. But once you start playing it, it could be very hard to stop. In this version of On Tour, the famous customization elements of your character are limited to just different outfits with better or worse stats. So if you pick the male character, you just basically get Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. Then when you go into one of the events, you'll realize that it looks quite familiar. Yes, they just reused the maps from SSX 3 and gave them completely random names like Easygoing and Distortion. You could basically summarize SSX on Tour for PSP as a stealth port of SSX 3, but with twice the jank. And this even has the same Uber tricks from SSX 3. So here, the monster tricks aren't the monster tricks from On Tour, they're the monster tricks from SSX 3. I think the types of combos that you have to do to pull off the monster trick in this are the same as the combos you need to do monster tricks in SSX 3, but I don't have any footage of myself landing any of them because I could only really do them by accident. I wasn't actually playing this game on a controller or of a PSP, of course. So my experience with the controls of this game was a little different given that the controls were being binded onto my computer keyboard. But whichever way you bind the controls of this to a keyboard, the thing that doesn't change is that the square button is both a grab button and the boost button. Therefore, if you want to go and use boost, but then all of a sudden you get 2 inches off the ground, you'll start doing the method and you've stacked it. There isn't really an easy way to bind both the directional buttons and the analog stick in a way that you can use them almost simultaneously. So I ultimately just did the events mainly just by using the directional buttons to control my rider. You do need the analog stick controls in order to complete this game because there's challenges that involve doing a nose press. But you can avoid it as much as possible and you can still get through everything. You basically probably don't even need to have a proper controller setup in order to beat this game. Maybe less a case of some of the challenges. They get pretty full on though, so I'm a little doubtful when it comes to that side of the completion of the game. I've made it all the way through the final set of events, which is called SSX Legend. So after you beat the main characters in a Shred event, you unlock them in Quick Play, which I know is also the case for the console versions of On Tour. But even with that, like, why? Why would you? Especially given that they have very differing stats. Like, look at Elisa's stats, and then look at Nate's stats. Why the fuck would I play as Nate? Why don't you just make them character skins and leave it at that? At least that would give you incentive to play as each of them, if you like the look of them. What do the stats matter if you can't even use them in a competitive thing? I don't fucking know. The race events are pretty piss weak, honestly, because as long as you don't keep screwing up and bailing, you're gonna finish first easy. With the slopestyle events, you could get to like halfway through the map and you've already got first place. So yeah, pretty piss weak. Similar with Big Air. So the difficulty curve in this game, it's like... But, you know, even when it's like this, that was mainly when it came to some of the Shred events, mainly the trick-based ones, where the AI opponent gets really big points really fast. Ultimately, I overcame that hurdle basically just by stringing long combos together, which, you know, you can do even just by doing fairly basic grabs, and that'll just, you know, that'll still pile on the points as long as you keep hitting rails, doing air tricks and whatnot. So yeah, it overall wasn't a whole lot of effort to get there until maybe the very end. But there's one type of event in this that has basically destroyed my will to even keep playing this game, and it's the half pipes. Granted, I don't remember the half pipe events in SSX3 being super engaging either, so it might just be the format of it, but also pain, suffering, agony. Even though I completed the SSX Legend set of events, I'm still not even number 1 on the leaderboard. I'm behind 2 fucking nobodies. And I think that's because I haven't completed the Big Air event, which includes the half pipe events in this one. Some of the slopestyle Big Air events are best of 2, so if you just cheese the first round, then you basically don't even have to try in the second one because you've already got too high of a score for the others to beat. But yeah, with elimination, you have to be at your best pretty much every round. And in the half-pipe events, you especially have to be at your constant best, because if you bail, no momentum. Bye-bye, you're not getting a medal. Fuck you. I kind of get that because, you know, in the Olympic half-pipe, if you fail, you're probably not going to get a medal either.
That's gotta hurt!
But also, in real-life half-pipes, you're probably not going to see people do a switch gargle 1440 smithereen with a late SS Exorcist or whatever the fuck. Just the most painful grind fest. You can at least see what bonus points you're going to get, so you get an idea of whether you're going to finish in second or third by the end of it. If you make it to the end, you're going to get a good combo, land a rail, all of a sudden you just hit an invisible fucking gremlin or whatever the fuck, and there goes your combo. Now you're only finishing in third or whatever, you peasant. I got to the final round of this one. Seemed like it was going well, and I was spamming tricks and and I did all that. You can see I was running out of time, so you got to finish. And after all of this shit, still only finished in fucking second. What do you want from me? A silver's good enough to get to the next stage of the big air event? No. Can I do the other events to get enough points to unlock the next? No. I definitely think the soundtrack of this game is very much underrated. I wouldn't be caught dead listening to Dio or Iron Maiden or Def Leppard, but even when those songs come on, you know, they can keep the hype going. And there are some genuinely awesome songs on this as well. You got Block Party, Death from Above 1979, Daft Punk is Playing at My House by LCD Sound System, which is still a banger. The hip-hop songs are more of a mixed bag for me, but they're all generally decent, including one song by Diplo well before he blew up. And it's like a cool 60s sounding kind of hip-hop instrumental. It does not sound like a Diplo song. And I think unlike the main versions of On Tour, the soundtrack in this just plays the songs in their entirety with no added effects when you get big air or anything like that. You just hear the songs as they are. And that gives you even more of an opportunity to hear the bizarre censoring in some of these songs. Some of the songs just have the offensive words muted. Sometimes they'll copy a word from a different part of the song and just put it in place of the bad word. And sometimes they'll do both those things in the same song.
I couldn't give a about your boring friends. I couldn't give about your boring friends.
Is it really worth having a song on the soundtrack if you have to take out basically entire lines in order to fit the G rating? They take out the word Jesus from Here It Goes Again by OK Go. They take out the line A Smoking Gun from Banquet by Block Party. But you know what phrase they don't censor in the song Red Hot by Jurassic 5?
Make you hate like a slave master.
Yeah. Also, this soundtrack is one of the only places you can hear the full version of God Killed the Queen by Louis XIV, where it has this little country-sounding guitar outro tacked on the end. On streaming services, you can only hear the main part of the song. Even YouTube's confused by it and thinks that it's the next song on their album. So I think the only other way to hear this full version of God Killed the Queen is to get a physical copy of that album. Yeah, that's interesting, at least to me. So, when you discount the events either being too easy or too difficult, the very inconsistent rail physics, the weird glitch that makes those slalom and gate challenges nearly impossible by making you ghost through rails and not register the gates when you go through them, the half-pipe misery, the pointless multiplayer, that awful Z-Trip and Whip-a-Whip song, and only being able to play the campaign as someone that just looks like a bit of a gimp, then it's a good game, really. I do genuinely enjoy it, but I also don't enjoy a lot of aspects. So yeah, as far as PSP games go, and as far as games that are more expansive in a different format go, it fares okay. Alright, for the outro, I bring you my rendition of the best song on the SSX On Tour soundtrack. Is it all about the music? Is it all about the DJ? Is it all about the MC? It's all about the party! Yo! My name's Whip-a-Whip and I'm here to say I'm a really corny rapper and I speak in cliches like throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. That's an actual lyric in the song. What the fuck? Ah!